Sony has 25 games in the work. That's insane. Let's talk about this whole Wired article, and I'm actually going to read a bunch of the quotes and sort of react to each live. Let's go over it. Okay, 25 actually isn't that insane if you like spread it out over many, many years, but it makes the intro a lot more exciting, right? Okay, so the PlayStation 5 article that everybody's been quoting and getting really, really good stuff out about was this Wired interview, which was absolutely fantastic. It has interviews with Cerny, Jim Ryan, some developers, and Herman Hulse, some tough names to get interviews with, right? So let's talk about each of the quotes. So Jim Ryan started out the interview. He said on stocks of PlayStation 5, we see production ramping up over the summer and certainly into the second half of the year, and we would hope to see some sort of return to normality in terms of the balance between supply and demand during that period. So he's talking about this year, supply and demand is going to even out by the end of the year. Of course, we know they're ramping up console production and they plan to have plenty of stock by 2022. So Jim Ryan's just sort of reiterating the point and trying to calm people down about stock. The thing is, people are still super hungry and really, really trying to get PlayStation 5s. And so, I mean, we'll see if that supply and demand evens out. I have to imagine by Christmas this year, I think it's still going to be hard to get a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X, maybe even an S. But I do think we are going to start to see that natural balance, especially as the world slowly gets back to normality. So then Cerny, you know, the designer of the PlayStation consoles, he said about ray tracing, he said, "That's astonishing," says Cerny. "I thought ray tracing was something that would be used in second and third generation titles. I thought that maybe an early title might show a little bit about the potential, and it would be one of those things where you'd be wondering, as somebody involved with creation of the hardware, was this worthwhile to be put in, given the associated cost in silicon? And to have that question answered the very first time titles were shown in public was amazing." Yeah, and you know, ray tracing, it's something on both consoles. Xbox has done it very well. PlayStation's doing it really, really well. And it's just really, really cool to see. I'm glad people are utilizing the hardware to the most of their abilities, especially this early on. Definitely Insomniac coming out with Spider-Man Miles Morales, a launch title, and having ray tracing at 4K 30 out the gate. That was really, really, really neat. And then you could go high frame rate. And then they even patched the game to have sort of a mix of both the high frame rate and ray tracing middle ground. I love that there are all these options about how you play your games graphically now. And I remember before all this came to fruition, as a PC gamer, I'm just like, I think people are in for a really, really, really big treat. And I think frame rate is going to be a bigger deal than people realize. And then, of course, now people get it. Now that, you know, the console generation of players have had a chance to experience high frame rates up to 120 frames per second on console, they're like, oh, yeah, this is really, really cool. And PC gamers are like, we told you it was going to be cool. I'm happy you're happy. And it's really, really great to hear about, you know, how excited they are about ray tracing. So Cerny also talked about people like myself that sort of point out minor quirks or challenges that I have with the PlayStation 5. And for me, largely it's about the UI. So he actually had this comment about naysayers. "The conversations can be very contentious," he says. "I actively seek out the people who will have strong opinions, who clearly lay out all the issues they're having with the hardware, so that we can get busy thinking about how we can address those in the future. The PS3's architecture made it difficult to get a graphics pipeline going. The PS4 CPU wasn't as powerful as folks hoped. The PS5, Cerny says, has found miraculously little pushback." Developers have been really, really able to utilize the PlayStation 5's power, and it's really, really wonderful to see. And Cerny, there's a reason he's so liked. It's because, you know, he's just basically saying, hey, I hear you about the hardware challenges, about the software challenges, and we're glad to hear the hardware is going well. We're going to continue working on the software. And he's really, really receptive to the feedback. And then, you know, Jim Ryan has been in a lot of the headlines lately, basically saying, a lot of the negative things. It's really, really nice to hear from Cerny again, because Cerny just seems like a very chill, very nice guy. I remember joking on Unlocked or some show I was on, and it's like, what if he's like a real battle axe when he behind the scenes, he's like, we gotta get the teraflops up on the PlayStation 5. Needs a faster hard drive. And he's just I can't imagine him ever being like that because he's so soft-spoken in all of his presentations. But it's fun to imagine like this alternative version of Cerny. Herman Hulst was the final person in the Wired article, and he talked about the PlayStation 5 games. And this is where the headline of this video comes in. He says, the group has more than 25 titles in development for the PlayStation 5, nearly half of which are entirely new IPs. Yes, that's great to hear. Like, anybody developing new IPs means we have chances to fall in love with games again. Like, I remember when Mass Effect was a new IP, nobody knew how big of a hit that game would be. We were all hyped for it after we started seeing gameplay and got an idea of what the concept would be. And then we just jumped all in. Like, that's what I want to see from Starfield, you know, talking about an Xbox exclusive, at least according to Mr. Grubb. But, I want to see gameplay, at least or at least a concept of what that game is going to be, so I can imagine myself playing it. And I can't wait to see what Sony has lined up. So according to that, they have 12.5 entirely new IP, and then 12.5. So let's say 12 new IP and 13 existing, and that's great to hear. He continues, there's an incredible amount of variety originating from different regions, Hull says, big, small, different genres, and in many of those cases, Sony's shared services became a lifeline for studios navigating lockdown. Yeah, he talked about basically how developers were able to be supported and continue working on their games and be able to do work on their products, even though there's delays and such. But Sony did a lot of good there. That's really, really exciting to hear. I'm happy to hear that they have so many titles in the work, because, you know, we do know that Xbox has a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, potentially with Bethesda titles going exclusive on Xbox. It just means gamers on both the PlayStation 5 platform and on the Xbox platform are going to have great games to play. And I hope PlayStation continues to refine their services, because right now I think that's kind of where they're getting their butt kicked on the Xbox front with Game Pass. And I feel like every video is just like Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. I get it if you're tired of hearing it, but it's exciting. And Sony, I just want Sony to create a comparable service, or, you know, as rumors would suggest, actually bring Game Pass to their platform. Finally, Herman on Horizon said, I spent some time yesterday with Horizon Forbidden West, humble brag right there, huh? For the first time in 7 or 8 months, says Herman Hulst, who had been involved with the game in its early years before leaving Guerrilla to head up PlayStation Studios. To step away and to come back to it, talk about giving me a gift. So he's very, very excited for Horizon, and I'm sure that's great to hear for all the Horizon fans out there. So this is one of those stories where I've been kind of lagging behind. I hadn't had a chance to get to it, but I did want to talk about it and talk about the big quotes that everybody was discussing. Sony's future looks great. Xbox's future looks great. And you know what? That just gives me this calm feeling and happy feeling inside, because it means I am going to have a ton of games to play, and so are you. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do like this sort of content where I sort of just ramble well, actually it's daytime. I'm recording on a Saturday, so I can record whenever I want, as long as the baby lets me. I gotta get out of here, actually. Anyway, if you like these sort of videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Memberships are turned on. Memberships are a thing that you can do to support YouTube creators. If you want to do that, click that join button. Thank you so much to everybody who has. I am very humbled by your contributions. And yeah, that's it for this video. Hey, have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful next week whenever this video comes out. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.